A billionaire woman in a wheelchair sat alone at a diner, moments away from tears, until a single father stood up and said 5 words that changed both of their lives forever. The rain had been falling over Seattle since early morning. Inside a small roadside diner, people sat quietly eating breakfast and staring at their phones. Near the window sat a beautiful woman in a wheelchair. Her name was Victoria Hayes. At 38, she was one of the richest women in America, owner of Hayes Technologies, a company worth billions of dollars. But nobody in the diner knew that. To them, she was simply a woman sitting alone. Victoria wore a dark blue dress and a silver necklace. Her long brown hair rested neatly over her shoulders. Across from her sat a man named Richard Coleman. He was her blind date. At first, he had seemed charming, but after learning that Victoria could no longer walk due to an accident 3 years earlier, his entire attitude changed. He leaned back in his chair and sighed loudly. "So, you'll be in that wheelchair forever?" Victoria lowered her eyes. "Most likely." Richard smirked. "That's unfortunate." She forced a smile. "I've learned to live with it." Richard shook his head. "Honestly, I don't know why you agreed to this date." Victoria looked confused. "What do you mean?" He laughed. "A man wants adventure, travel, a normal life. Not—" He looked down at her wheelchair. The words stabbed her heart. Not because she hadn't heard them before, but because they still hurt. People nearby heard him, yet no one said anything. Richard continued, "You seem nice, but I don't think I could date someone like this." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to leave, but her wheelchair had become stuck against the table leg. She struggled to move. Richard noticed and rolled his eyes. "See? This is exactly what I mean." At a nearby booth sat Ethan Parker, a 32-year-old single father. He wore an old flannel shirt and jeans. Beside him sat his 6-year-old daughter Lily eating pancakes. Ethan worked 2 jobs. During the day, he repaired air conditioners. At night, he delivered groceries. Life had been hard since his wife passed away 4 years earlier. He didn't have much, but he had a good heart. Lily looked toward Victoria. "Daddy, that lady is crying." Ethan turned. He saw the tears. Then he heard Richard's next words. "I'm leaving. Good luck finding someone." He stood and grabbed his jacket. Victoria looked down, trying to hide her pain. That was enough. Ethan stood. He walked toward their table. The entire diner watched. "Sir," Ethan said calmly, "I think you forgot something." Richard frowned. "What?" "Your manners." The diner became silent. Richard laughed. "And who are you?" "A man teaching his daughter how to treat people." Richard rolled his eyes. "This is none of your business." Ethan looked at Victoria. "Actually, now it is." Richard grabbed his wallet. "Enjoy your pity party." Then he walked out of the diner. The door slammed shut. Silence filled the room. Victoria wiped her tears. "You didn't have to do that." Ethan smiled gently. "Yes, I did." Little Lily walked over and handed Victoria a napkin. "My daddy says nobody should cry during breakfast." Victoria laughed softly. It was the first smile she had made all morning. "Thank you." Lily hugged her. "You can sit with us." Victoria looked surprised. Ethan smiled. "If you'd like." She nodded. For the next hour, they talked. Lily told jokes. Ethan shared stories about being a single father. For the first time in years, Victoria forgot about her wheelchair. She simply felt human. When it was time to leave, Ethan helped move her chair. "Thank you," she said. "It was nothing." "No," she replied. "It meant a lot." Lily suddenly asked, "Why are you always alone?" Victoria's face softened. "Because people see my wheelchair before they see me." Lily frowned. "I think you're pretty." Victoria's eyes filled with tears again. Nobody had said something so innocent in a very long time. Before leaving, she asked, "What do you do?" "I fix air conditioners." "And your dream?" Ethan laughed. "I used to dream about opening my own repair company." "What happened?" "Life." Victoria nodded slowly. Then she reached into her purse and handed him a business card. "If you ever need anything, call me." Ethan smiled politely and placed it in his pocket. He had no idea who she really was. The next morning, Ethan lost his job. The repair company where he worked closed unexpectedly. He stared at his final paycheck. There wasn't enough money to pay rent. That evening, Lily asked, Daddy, are we okay? He smiled. Of course. But inside, he was terrified. Later that night, he remembered the business card. It read, Victoria Hayes, CEO, Hayes Technologies. Ethan nearly dropped it. CEO, Billionaire, the woman from the diner? He couldn't believe it. After thinking for hours, he finally called. A secretary answered immediately. Ms. Hayes has been expecting your call. Expecting? An hour later, a black car arrived outside his apartment. He and Lily were taken to the tallest building downtown. Inside the executive office stood Victoria. She smiled warmly. I'm glad you came. Ethan looked nervous. You wanted to see me? She nodded. You said you once dreamed of owning your own company. He laughed sadly. Dreams are expensive. Victoria looked at him. What if someone invested in you? He stared. What? She opened a folder. Inside were documents. I want to fund your business. Ethan's jaw dropped. Why? She smiled. Because yesterday everyone in that diner saw a woman in a wheelchair. She paused. You saw a person. He couldn't speak. Victoria continued. You defended a stranger in front of your daughter. That tells me everything about your character. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. I don't know what to say. Say yes. He laughed through his tears. Lily suddenly ran toward Victoria. Does this mean Daddy gets his dream? Victoria smiled. Yes. Lily hugged her tightly. You saved us. Victoria froze. Nobody had hugged her like that in years. Tears rolled down her cheeks. For the first time since her accident, she didn't feel broken. 6 months later, Parker Heating and Air officially opened. The company had 10 employees. Business was booming. Ethan finally had stability. One afternoon, he invited Victoria to the grand opening. As she rolled through the doors, everyone applauded. Ethan stepped onto the small stage. This company exists because one woman believed in me. He looked at Victoria. But the truth is, she gave me more than a business. She looked surprised. He smiled. She reminded me that kindness still matters. The room applauded again. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Lily ran onto the stage. Miss Victoria, we saved you a seat next to us forever. Everyone laughed. Victoria laughed too. Then she cried. Happy tears, because for the first time in years, she felt like she belonged somewhere. As the sun set outside the building, she watched Ethan and Lily laughing together. Money had bought her everything, except family. Until now, she looked at Ethan. You know, I think you rescued me that day too. He smiled. Maybe we rescued each other. And sometimes, one act of kindness in a small diner becomes the beginning of a brand new life. Moral: never judge someone's worth by their appearance or limitations. A single act of kindness can change not only another person's life, but your own destiny as well.